I have two great Bearcats sitting right in front of me, so I don't know how much of that conversation kind of triggered a memory of you when you were in high school, or if you weren't in high school and you were transferring in, applying to Baruch. So was it easy to apply to Baruch when you first started the application process? Were you guys applying to different colleges at the time? And if you were, was there any difference?
Yeah, so first of all, thank you, Sadia and Kim, for going so much in detail about that. So when I was applying to Baruch, I was looking at different schools outside of the CUNY system. So I was looking at SUNY colleges, some private schools. But I think Baruch's process was pretty efficient for me. I didn't have to go into individual schools with the other CUNY schools of applying. It was just one application, one fee. Just list out what are you interested in and just wait for your response to get into it. So that was pretty easy for me to navigate through the whole CUNY website itself. What would you say?
More or less the same. I would say it's a lot more convenient than the other Common App things.
Yeah, the Common App
Yeah,
application.
it's more convenient just to have one application and then apply to a whole bunch of schools.
Right.
That's what I did. I didn't really apply to too many schools outside of CUNY, but I just remember the CUNY application was pretty straightforward and pretty easy to complete.
Yeah.
Thank goodness.
Yeah, I think also the good thing about Baruch's application, well, CUNY in general, was we had a personal statement. It was optional, so other schools kind of required, you have to submit a personal essay type of thing, but Baruch was like, if you wanted to add it, you could. So.
I think with Sadia and I applied, it may have actually been required.
Oh, wow.
So, different time, right? Barely like a decade difference.
It's great. It's great for you guys.
It made it easier for us to get it.
So thank you for sharing a little bit about your admissions process. So now we're going to go forward in time to when you were admitted to the college. So what made you want to commit to Baruch? Was Baruch your first choice? Were you looking at other schools? What made you want to start your college journey at Baruch?
Okay, that's my favorite question because I was looking at other schools before coming into Baruch, and I graduated high school in the pandemic, so financially I had to think responsibly as to where would I be going, how would that work out, and Baruch just so happened to be like the most financially mobile decision for my family and I, and I knew that if I wanted to major in finance, it had to be in the city. I need to be out, I need to be very close to the internships and be right by the corporate America industry, so this was like the best decision for me, and also academically I would be challenged to be here through all the honors programs and also different clubs and organizations, so Baruch was just overweighed all the other schools for me. What would you say?
Yeah, pretty much it's very similar to me, but I also had family that came to Baruch and that kind of influenced my decision. Baruch was my first choice. I had my sights pretty dead set on Baruch. Not only because I had family that came here, but because of the people here. I would hear stories from family members that came to the school about different types of people here, what they were able to do at Baruch, and obviously the outcomes of graduating.
Yeah.
So for school with this location, with this price, and with this type of student body, I would say those are the three that really, set Baruch in stone for me.
Nice, yeah. So I want to talk a little bit about majors because that's something that drives a lot of students to a certain college is the major. So your majors right now, I know you said it earlier in the start of the episode, but what's your major now? Is it different from the one that you put on the application? How many times have you changed your major? That's something that a lot of students are really focused on when applying to Baruch. So just, is it different? Was it the same?
Yeah, so when I listed finance on my application, it just stayed with me for the remainder of my college experience. I haven't changed my major at all. I think it might be a little bit different for you, right?
Yeah, so I came into Baruch wanting to major into finance, and I stayed a finance major up until I would say the end of my freshman year. I wanted to major in something a little more technical because something I want to do in the future is go into trading, and that's slowly but surely requiring a more technical background. So with that, I kind of settled on statistics and quantitative modeling, might be moving towards computer science when that becomes available.
Yeah, that's exciting news. It's a new CS major, and hopefully by the time this goes live, we'll have more information about it. It's something that's still in the works.
There was a demand for it a while, so we finally listened.
Yeah,
and we have a
so,
CS major now.
We listen to our students.
Exciting. Yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of, I love what you mentioned. The student body is one of the reasons why you wanted to come to the college. So speaking of student body, student life, it was different pre-pandemic, as maybe Sadia, Kim, and I can explain. We all came to Baruch pre-pandemic days, but now we have two students, you guys, who started or were attending the college like post-lockdown, now in this kind of hybrid format. So in regards to student life, what is your club like? What are you guys doing? Clubs are you involved in? Any extracurriculars that you feel has only added on to your experience? So whichever one of you guys wants to go first.
I guess I'll go first.
Mhm.
So I'm starting a club on campus called Scholars of Finance, which is a club that focuses on using finance for good and teaching people about ethics. The main premise of the club is to prevent something like the 2008 crisis from happening again. So I feel like a lot of students at Baruch would really like that. And I feel like it would be one of the largest professional clubs. I'm also involved in Kappa Sigma.
Oh, nice. That's a part of Baruch, right?
That's off campus for now.
Off campus from Baruch. Oh, okay. All right, cool. What about you, Puneet? Are you involved in
Yeah.
anything? And I'm smiling because I know the answer, but
Yeah. So actually, one thing I just do want to point out, like, it's amazing how Dan is actually starting a club on campus, because like that's one of our biggest things that students are advocated to do. If we do not offer a club or organization on campus, you're more than welcome to do it. So that's like a really good job that you're
yeah, it's
doing.
really cool.
So for me, it was kind of like I've done a lot, to be honest.
Yes, you have.
I did start school in the virtual setting. I think it made it easier for me to kind of just join like meetings. So I was part of the National Association of Black Accountants. I've held like positions on that in that organization. I've also been part of Alpha Accelerator, like their accelerator program, which is also another pre-professional organization. I've also been part of Consult Your Community, where I got a little high exposure of what consulting is. And those three have been one of my like biggest highlights, and I highly recommend students getting involved as early
as possible. Yeah, that's very true. It's something that we mentioned in the first episode, and people will hear it all the time throughout the series of this podcast, is you want to be involved as much as you can. That really is what makes the college experience what it is, right? But until students are admitted, by the time this episode goes live, there will be prospective students either looking to apply for a future semester, or they've already submitted the application and they're awaiting their response back. So what piece of advice do you two want to share for anyone that's watching this, any prospective student or student that is waiting to hear back, or a student that just got admitted and they're watching this episode hoping that it makes or breaks the deal for them?
Yeah, I guess I'll start. So I would say the transition between high school and college, it's kind of weird getting used to it. In high school, there's a lot more hand-holding. You aren't as responsible for your actions as you would think compared to college. Getting used to that responsibility in college is a bit weird because everything falls on you. Everything from how well you're doing in classes all the way to what classes you have to take. And getting yourself in order for like personal responsibilities and all that. So it's definitely a big jump, and it takes quite a bit of getting used to.
I have a lot that I could go through, but I will say it goes a lot of based off what you just kind of said. College is about being proactive. Nobody's obviously going to feed you, do this, do that, but it's also about how do you utilize your resources. Baruch has a lot of resources in terms of like tutoring to, career development stuff, to getting involved on, campus, to like athletes, anything, right? It's about how you utilize your network and what you want to make out of it. So I guess if you just got admitted to Baruch, congrats. And if you're looking to come to Baruch, I would start exploring where do you want to be in the next 5 years. Sometimes that question can be difficult, but I think kind of setting your goals and then planning ahead and finding the right people to help you achieve those goals is something that I would highly, highly recommend doing. Yeah.
Thank you both so much for sharing your words of wisdom and your experience. I know you guys just started your careers. It seems like yesterday you we've met each other and now here we are on this
Talking.
podcast. So thank you.
Thank you.
Now it's time to debunk some rumors for anyone that is looking to apply. So we're going to turn the conversation back to Sadia and Kim to debunk some of these rumors that we've been hearing since
Let's do it.
the start of the admissions process. So the first rumor I want to tackle, because we've mentioned it a few times, is with the ACT and SAT being optional, is one weighed more than the other?
Well, I would like to say absolutely not.
Okay, that was
so
easy.
the answer is flat out no. There is absolutely no one exam that is weighed more than the others. I know a lot of students also ask this because they really worry. I think at some point maybe there was just some miscommunication down the line. Maybe students, they tell each other things because they're nervous about things, and this is what happens, right? This is exactly how rumors start. This is absolutely not true. They're weighed the same. So if you want to submit your ACT scores, feel free to do so. If you want to submit your SAT scores, you could do that as well. But just so you know, as we mentioned already, we are optional. So you don't even have to submit them if you're uncomfortable. I know a lot of students also have that as a thing where it's like, are you sure it's optional? And we say, we promise you, we're not lying to you. It will not affect your admission application if you choose not to.
Right.
Just be sure that if you do submit it though, you're confident in what you're submitting.
Right.
Yeah, I actually tell students a lot of students come up to me and they're like, are you sure you're optional? What if I have a bad grade and I submit it? So we're not test required right now. That means if you submit something bad to us, if your scores aren't that good, we're just not gonna look at it, right? We're not gonna consider it. We're gonna turn the other way. But if it helps your application, we're gonna review it. So the optional portion is more so only to help you, right? It's not here to hinder you in any way. And I had a few students like, you're just being nice. I'm like, it's not just me. It's not just me. It's actually the CUNY situation right now.
Right.
We are test optional. Baruch specifically is definitely test optional. And if the scores help your application, we will review it. If it doesn't help your application, you didn't submit to us. That's how we're gonna see it.
In the first place,
Yeah, and whether you take the SAT or the ACT, it's whatever you find better for you.
Right.
Some people are better at taking the SAT. Some people feel more comfortable taking the ACT, or maybe they got a better score on the ACT for whatever reason. Submit whatever your good score is, right?
It's why we have two, because some people, as Sadia said, they might do better on this exam. Some people might not. So it depends on what you like. You could even take both and see how you do. Because I think that's what I did in high school.
That's what I did too.
Exactly. See, so we wanted to see like what's a good, better fit for us. So honestly, we promise we're not lying. You are completely in your own decision. You have the complete free will to decide if you want to submit it or not. But we do know it is way the same.
Yeah. Also, if you take your SAT multiple times, as we've done while we were, test required, we will super score. So submit all your scores. We're gonna take your highest math, highest English, any other portion of it. But it's mostly just math and English that we're looking at. So we are only gonna look at your highest portion of those. So if you want to submit everything to us, go ahead, because we're only gonna look at your best scores. We're not actually gonna look at how many times you've taken the exams, which exams you've submitted. Everything is being converted into like a standard version, and then we're making
this final decision.
We do our best to help you.
Yeah, we're here to help you. We want you to come to our
Yes,
students.
come be a Bearcat.
We're a college. We need students. Please come be a Bearcat.
Exactly.
That's great to hear. It's good that we got that situated, just because working in admissions, the three of us, and even you two as admission ambassadors for the college, that is the question that we will hear in the upcoming weeks and every time a new semester application opens up. So for right now, that is the current requirement, or in this case, it's optional for right now. It could change, so for anyone that's listening, you want to double check on the CUNY website for whatever semester you're applying for. It seems like that is the way it will be
until 2025.
Until 2025. So you want to double check, if
you're listening after 2025 or you're trying to enroll for after 2025. Check our website.
That's what the greatest
because
but it is currently 2023.
Yes, it is currently 2023 as we're filming this. So the next rumor, I feel we can all debunk, but I want to hear this mostly from Sadia, is Baruch a business school?
I love that question. And I love that question because as Kim mentioned, we are both alumna. I graduated in 2018. And I was a biochemistry student. I was not a business student because Baruch is not a business school.
You're not a business
Baruch
school.
is a liberal arts college with a business school.
Yes.
Our Zicklin School of Business is one of our 3 schools that specializes in business. It's nationally recognized, nationally awarded for our business program. It's a very, very strong program. But that's not all that we are.
Exactly.
We have a very strong science program as well within our Wiseman School of Arts and Sciences. That's our liberal arts school. And science isn't the only thing that we have there. We have English, journalism, history, math, statistics. We have the sciences. Liberal arts, we got it, and it's so vibrant. The Wiseman School is great, and then we also have our Mark School of Public and International Affairs. So if you're interested in anything pre-law or going into the non-for-profit, governmental sectors, that's another great school. So you don't have to be business-based. And when I was applying, as I mentioned, I applied as a first-year student, right? I knew what I was going to get into. I knew that this is the school that I wanted to come to for the next 4 years, or at least I so envisioned that back when I was starting. But from the beginning, I knew I wanted to be a science student. I knew I didn't want business. But everyone in my family's business, so I was just very comfortable in a business setting. So I felt comfortable at Baruch as that science person.
Right.
But the sciences at Baruch is so great. It is non-competitive. It's very individualized. So it's not just a business school. It has a great business program, but our other programs are also so great. What I tell students when they're applying to Baruch and they're like, "Oh, Baruch is for business," I say no. If Baruch offers you a major, I could guarantee you success in that because we don't offer too many majors. We only offer like 35 majors. It's not a lot actually. But whatever we do offer, we're very, very specialized in. Our faculty is award-winning. All the faculty work in their fields or they do research in their fields, and they have a lot of opportunities to give back to you. So if you are considering something that's not business, you might want to also consider Baruch for that because we're not just business, right? Business obviously is very strong. If you're considering business, business is great at Baruch.
Yes, it is.
Of course. But if you're like, I don't know, check us out. Check us out for sure. If you want to visit our campus, which I highly recommend that you do, we give tours, and actually Puneet and Daniel are actually one of our tour guides.
They're experts at this point.
So good. And the best people to get information from is people that lived in that shoe, right? So getting tour guides from our students is the best way that we are able to relay information. And our tour guides come in all different backgrounds, whether they're from the business school, from the Wiseman School, or from our market school. So lots of opportunities. We're not just a business school.
No, we are a liberal arts
have
college.
a business school.
Yes.
That's right.
We are a liberal arts college.
So passionate about that.
Yes, so passionate about that. One last rumor I want us to debunk before we wrap up and go about the rest of our days is there one semester that's easier to get into than the other? I've heard students say that the fall semester is harder to get into, spring semester is easier because there's less applicants, so let's just set the record straight. Is there one semester that's easier to get into than the other?
Well, folks, we're here today to say there is no semester that's easier or harder to get into. I think it's just because, students have that misconception of, there's less applicants for the spring. But also you have to realize that our requirements are still the same regardless. So even if you apply during spring but you don't meet the requirements, you may not be able to get a seat at our school. So it ultimately comes down to what you're applying with and what credits you have, what requirements you have, and everything down to that. So there's no semester that's easier or harder. Honestly, it's different every semester anyway because our pool of applicants are so different, right? I think we've already shown that Baruch is a very diverse school. Like we have such a diverse student body. We have just under 20,000 students, and these students all come from different parts of the world, from over 100 different countries. So I think it's just important to know that there's no semester that is easier than the other. It just depends on when you want to come in as a student.
Yeah,
it's
I
that
would
simple.
also add on to that, we do get a lot of applicants for the fall semester.
Yes.
But that's because if you're a high school student, you're ending in the spring semester. You're ending in like May, June.
Yes.
So the next semester for you to start is the fall, right?
Yeah.
You wouldn't start while you're still in school.
Mhm.
And a lot of students, if they want to take a gap semester, then go for it. You know,
That's totally
you do
fine.
you.
Yeah.
But yes, we do get a lot of applicants for the fall semester, so we do take on a heavier load in the fall semester.
Yes.
Because if you start in the fall semester and you complete 4 years, you'll end in the spring semester.
Mhm.
3-4 years, you'll end in the spring semester, and then the cycle continues. So we do take on a heavier load in the fall semester. But if you are unsure that, hey, if I apply in the spring, it'll be better, that's not really the situation. Because in the spring semester, we still get a lot of applicants, and those are usually transfer students.
Yes.
So different times have different application pools, and we know what the trend is, and we accept students according to that.
Yes.
As I mentioned before, if you want to get in, you apply. And if you don't apply, you won't get in.
Exactly.
Straight up.
Yes. Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Thank you guys so much for
Oh.
being a part of this podcast and joining me on this episode, talking a little bit about your experiences as students, and then, you know, helping me debunk some rumors and walking students through the admissions process. Yeah, thank you guys so much.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah,
yeah,
thank you.
it was
This
so
was
amazing.
great.